Please, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Please come closer, inshaAllah. It's a very blessed time. قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْسِ وَقَبْلَ غُرُوبِهَا. Before the rising of the sun and before the setting of the sun. سَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْسِ وَقَبْلَ غُرُوبِهَا وَمِنْ آنَاءِ اللَّيْلِ فَسَبِّحْ. So those are the regulars of the last few days. Alhamdulillah, we have been covering some aphorisms or statements of wisdom, hikam, from Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari rahmatullah alayh. We were doing different topics, and then one day I started this, and then the brothers wanted to continue with it. So every day we have some new guests who were not here previously. So alhamdulillah, these are very deep words that have, mashallah, a lot of wisdom, and they're known for their eloquence. And in the Arabic language, how Ibn Ata'illah rahmatullah alayhi not only speaks so profoundly but very eloquently, and he conveys different subtle mysteries about suluk ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we were on number 12, right? So we did number 11, and if you just do a quick review of the 11, that will take about at least another half hour. So we will just start with number 12, and those who are genuinely interested, then the recordings are available online. The so-called rise and reflect. May Allah give me tawfiq to reflect. We are rising. Question is, are we reflecting or not? So we have to rise and reflect, not just rise. Inshallah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I just wait for a few moments for this small talk until the signal comes of the YouTube starting, the live stream. I think it started. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. استشرافك أن يعلم الخلق بخصوصيتك. Istishraf is when a person has a desire in his heart which he doesn't actually even bring on his tongue. So the desire that you have in your heart, أن يعلم الخلق, that the creation, they should know, they should be aware, بخصوصيتك, the fact that you have some special attribute, special quality, special achievement. This is the subject of the sentence, the predicate. This is the mubtada, khabar is coming, the predicate is coming on the next slide. So the first thing he says, istishrafuka, the fact that you have a desire in your heart. One meaning of istishraf also is when a person is glancing over, peering over, peeking over, and he wants to see something. So he's also looking out for it. But he's not uttering it with his tongue. If a person, you see somebody who has something of the dunya that you want, if you go and ask him for it, you beg from him, na'udhu billah, or you say, give that to me, that's called su'al, right? To ask with the tongue. Which is, depending on the situation, most situations it is not permissible, it's not something ethical or commendable to ask people, give me what you have. And if you do not ask with the tongue, but you just desire it in your heart, that I wish, I want that, that is called istishrafun nafs. So the fact that you have a desire in your heart, and what is the desire in your heart? That أَن يَعْلَمَ الْخَلْقِ, I wish the people knew, بِخُصُوصِيَتِكَ, of the special accomplishment you have. Even if it may be a dini accomplishment. So as you're praying Fajr Salah, there's somebody on your right, somebody on your left. And then you're just like, I wish they knew that I made a khatam last night. Right? I wish they knew that I gave so much sadaqah. They're just literally standing next to me, they don't even know who they're standing next to. لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ, if they but knew, right? Who they are so honored to be next to. So, this is, you may think, the lowest level of riyah, because nowadays it's not just a desire in the heart, it's actually implemented via social media, where people are posting about their ibadat, or may Allah forbid so-called ibadat, and telling the whole world about it, taking pictures of it, documenting it, and showing to people the different maqamat and the different levels in their suluk ila Allah and the different stations that they are purportedly reaching and passing on their way to the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu a'lamu bis-sawab. So and the holiest of holy place is the Masjid al-Haram by the Kaaba. So over there, it's very heartbreaking to narrate that it's not just, one-off, one strange occurrence, some person who really just got it wrong. Where did this weirdo come from? No. It's like, at this point, almost a standard practice where people are literally, if they cannot take a selfie themselves, then they actually ask others to take their picture. Now, if you want to make the picture perfect, you actually have to what? Pose for it. So you pose for somebody while you're doing your dua with the Kaaba in the front, foreground, background. So they're fake. There's the whole fake dua, the fake prayer, the fake tawaf, the fake everything for the sake of the camera, for the sake of posting it. These are not some vloggers or somebody who are, monetization of their channel and want to make money off of it, professional YouTubers or something. This is just random ummatis of this day and age. So this is what it has come to. The Salaf mentioned that the righteous people, they hide their good deeds even more than the criminals hide their sins. Nowadays, this whole example doesn't even make sense because criminals don't hide their sins. Criminals go ahead and expose themselves. This is called a mujahir with a ra. Nabi sallallahu, not the mujahid with a dal. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives every sinner. In Allah yaghfiru, Allah forgives every sinner, illa al-mujahir. So the Sahaba said, وَمَا الْمُجَاهِرُ Ya Rasulullah, who is the mujahir? It comes from the word jahrun. Like the jahri prayers, the loud prayers when the Imam recites loudly, and the sirri prayers, sirrun is secret, when the Imam recites softly. So Dhuhr and Asr are sirri, and Fajr, Maghrib and Isha are jahri. And Tarawih is what? Jahri. If it was sirri, it would be a lot of people falling down, maybe. Okay. So, jahr, from jahr means loud. So mujahir is the one, Nabi sallallahu he is not forgiven. Scary matter. This one is not a joke. The mujahir is the one who is not forgiven. Who is the, so Sahaba said, Mal mujahir. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, mujahir is the one that when he commits a sin, even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covers his sin that he did in the dead of the night, then he does not rest and he is impatient and he is feeling anxiety that nobody knows about my sin. So he does not feel happy until he exposes himself and tells the world and tells people, this is a sin I committed. Until he shares about his sin. So this may have been a very limited type of practice in the past, but it has become more and more mainstream, where people are showing off about their sins. And one of the main reasons why they are doing that is because they don't regard it to be a sin. So if somebody is, don't get me wrong, if somebody is, obviously robbing a bank, and he knows how to hack through the different safes, and he's making drilling holes into the safe and taking out jewels, cat burglar, right? He's not going to make a video and tell the world about that, obviously, to make the job of the police so easier. So people are exposing themselves. When I'm saying about their sins, they're doing sins that they do not even regard it to be a sin. So obviously we have the young men here, so may Allah protect you and protect us, and older men, older women. No one is immune in this day and age. As I always mention the story of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min az-zina at an old age. But if they're young men, young women hanging out, quote unquote hanging out, it's a group date, it's not khalwa. What kind of fiqh is that, right? So, and if you take a picture, post it, this is, having suhoor at IHOP or wherever, some other random place. I'm not hating on IHOP, any place, right? So it's, so if you're taking a picture of young men, women together having, that are unrelated, if they're all siblings, Maybe they're Radai, brother and sister, they drank milk from the same mother, then that's okay. Because they're not cousins, so they seem to be strangers. There's one young student we had, mashallah, he was extreme level of husn al-dhan. ظَنُّوا بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ خَيْرًا. So this is something I didn't make up this one. I do make up a lot of interesting things, but not this one. He told me, he said that when he was in university and he would see people, young men and women together, he would say, I think sincerely that there must be Radai, foster brothers and sisters. The students were laughing here. This was a University of Illinois Chicago student who used to come study here. His name is Yusuf Wolf. Can you believe that? Your teacher. Now he's a Maulana. He said that when he was a student, he used to come in the warehouse days. He said, this is what I think. Subhanallah. That's why he had husn al-dhan about all of you guys. If he had husn al-dhan, he'll give you the exam and he'll say that, inshallah, you won't cheat, right? He just walks out. So this is how husn al-dhan Maulana Yusuf had. May Allah Ta'ala make it reality. But a lot of the times, so what happens is we take a picture and we post it. So we are exposing our sins and exposing our good deeds. So we are pushing and telling the world, we are informing everybody that this is what I'm doing. Over here he says, not that you're going out of your way to tell people, but if you just have this desire in your heart, I wish people knew how much tahajjud I prayed today, how much khatam I did, how much sadaqah I gave, what am I doing? And having this desire, what is this? This is dalilun. It's an evidence, irrefutable evidence, عَلَىٰ عَدَمِ صِدْقِكَ فِي عُبُودِيَّتِكَ, that you have absolutely no sincerity in your worship. It's a proof of insincerity in your servanthood. عُبُودِيَّة, it matches with خُصُوصِيَّة, to make the qafiyah, to make it rhyme. He says, استشرافك أن يعلم الخلق بخصوصيتك is دليل على عدم صدقك في عبوديتك. The fact that you have a desire that people should know about what I'm accomplished is in of itself a proof of insincerity in your servanthood. Because the one who is truly sincere, he does not care about people's happiness, nor does he care about people's anger or displeasure. He does not care about people praising him. He does not care about people attacking him. The only thing he cares about is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everyone else's opinion is inconsequential. Does not make a difference whatsoever. So that is the reality of ikhlas. And that is something which is required. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. You have been commanded, there's nothing else you have been commanded to do but to have ikhlas in your deen. إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ, with ikhlas. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advised his beloved Mu'adh ibn Jabal, the one he said, Wallahi inni la uhibbuka ya Mu'adh, I swear by Allah, verily I love you, O Mu'adh. He said, أخلص دينك يكفيك العمل القليل. Develop ikhlas and sincerity in your actions, and then amalul qalilu, little amal will be sufficient for your guidance, sufficient for your salvation. يكفيك العمل القليل. So we have to have sincerity. When he says proof of insincerity, it reminded me of another statement of one of our mashayikh. He explains it, subhanallah, that is also something that is very thought-provoking. The one who is confident about himself that he is sincere, let him be confident that he is insincere. The one who is very, very confident and happy about his own action, that I am 100% mukhlis, let it be known, rest assured, you are not sincere. What does that mean? To unpack that is that the true mukhlis is the one who is يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا, who has fear of rejection and hoping acceptance. And if a person is 100% confirmed, like, obviously I'm sincere, I'm 100% sincere, there's no way I'm insincere, this action is, so this falls under ujub. People are aware of at least the concept of riya. There's riya and there's ujub. What's the difference? Both are li ghayrillah. The ikhlas is when a person does an action ibtigha'a wajhillah, to seek the pleasure of Allah. And seeking the pleasure of ghayrullah, other than Allah, is rejected. Now the other than Allah is two categories. Everyone else, anyone else besides yourself, That's called riya. When you do an action to show to others. Other people are also ghayrullah. And if you do an action for your own pleasure, and you're so happy about it in yourself, self-satisfaction, self-righteousness, even though nobody else knows about it. This is a bit deeper concept, something more subtle, something less talked about or contemplated about, or we hardly contemplate on it, is the fact that sometimes you do an action not for others' pleasure, but for your own pleasure, and you're just so self-satisfied, oh my God, I did this and that. So your objective is your own happiness and your own pleasure and being pleased with oneself. So this is called ujub, right? To be conceited. Conceit versus being showing off to others. If you want other people to see your action, it's called riya. And if you want other people to hear about your action, it's called sum'ah. With the ears. They hear about it, sum'ah. Riya is to see it with their eyes. Ra yara ru'ya, to see with the eyes. And if you are just happy internally, what does this whole happy internally mean? There's an example. Whether it's really happened or not, it's not the matter. It's just a lesson. The moral of the story is impactful regardless. There was a person, he performed 2 rakat salah, for example, in the masjid, somewhere in the front saf, in the first saf, second saf, somewhere in the front of the masjid. He prayed to the best of his ability, whatever the case is. After he finished his salah, then he heard an unseen voice, right, saying that your salah is rejected because it has been performed li ghayrillah, for other than Allah. So then he looked around, he said, oh, I must have been performing to show to these people on my right and left. I haven't done it for the sake of Allah. So he went to the back of the masjid. Everyone here is watching me. So he went to the back and he prayed 2 rakat. After he said salam, he heard the unseen voice, or the thought came in his heart from ilham came, thought came into his heart that your salah is rejected because it was performed li ghayrillah, for other than Allah. Then he said, oh, in the front of the masjid, a lot of people were watching me. Here, some people who were coming in late, they ended up seeing me. Perhaps my niyat was diluted. I was doing it to show them. So then he went home and he prayed. By the way, this does not apply to farz salah because the jama'ah factor is more dominant there to create the brotherhood in the ummah. I didn't say brotherhood and sisterhood because it's not wajib upon the sisters. Yes, it's permissible, but it's not wajib. This is a natural division that Allah Ta'ala gave, because anyone who has kids know that they require 100% all the time someone around. According to Illinois law, it's illegal to leave under 14-year-old alone at home, right? Last time I checked, Wallahu a'lam. So if father and mother both go, then who's going to take care of the baby? So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this division of labor. If the woman, she gets out of her warm bed, prays 2 rakat next to the bed, and hops right back in, she will get no deficiency in her thawab. Versus the man, it's a sunnah mu'akkada or wajib, or depending, on the different opinions, to go pray in the masjid. So he went home and he prayed 2 rakat salah. And when he prayed 2 rakat salah, then he got the same strong feeling that your salah is rejected because it was performed for the pleasure of ghayrullah, other than Allah. Then he thought, oh, maybe I was trying to, without realizing it, impressing my wife and my children. So then he made some excuse that I have to take care of some need, has to go to the bathroom perhaps. Then he went to his room. It may have been a master bedroom with an en-suite bathroom. So the excuse would make sense. Whatever the case, he went inside and locked the door. And then he performed another 2 rakat. Now at this time, it doesn't cross anyone's mind. Nobody knows. Nobody knows that he's performing these 2 rakats. Nobody in the world. Except for the kiramun katibina ya'lamuna ma taf'aluna. They know exactly what you're doing. They're writing it down. So he goes and he performed 2 rakat. When he performed, when he was finishing it, by the time he was making salam, he was what? Very, very, very happy with himself. Almost like a smile you could imagine on his face. So where we're heading with this, you already know, because I started talking about conceit to begin with. And so what happened is when he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and he's like, oh my God, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he's so happy, like, I finally got it. This is the ultimate pinnacle of sincerity. Nobody even knows. They think, I'm taking so long, they're going to be like, oh, Baba, do you have constipation or something? So, anyway, so he is so so happy with himself. Are you okay? They're asking. So they don't know. They cannot imagine I'm praying. So he said, nobody in the world knows. This is so sincere. Am I sincere or what? So he's saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And then what happens? He gets the exact same strong feeling in his heart, and the unseen voice calls out, your salah is rejected because it was performed for other than Allah. So in this case, who is the other than Allah? Yourself. Because you're also ghayrullah, you're not Allah. Are you Allah? You're not Allah. So if you're not Allah, you're ghayrullah. And if you're performing for your own pleasure, it's also li ghayrillah. So ikhlas it's actually, it's not easy thing, is an understatement. It is rather, we could say, the most difficult thing. It's absolute, and when you say it's the pinnacle, it's the peak. You can't appreciate the peak until you know like how many, what's the altitude of the mountain. How many steps you need to climb to get up to that peak. You just say, oh, it's the peak. Peak of what? Peak is, for example, first of all, understand, starting point, like sea level. What's the sea level? Sea level is jahala, complete ignorance. أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم. He brought you forth from the wombs of your mother. لا تعلمون شيئا. You didn't know anything. So everyone is born as a jahil. Or juhail. Small jahil. Right? So baby jahil is a juhail. Anyway, so then afterwards, the little juhail is growing up. He becomes a jahil when he's older. Right? And then, so this is this default. You don't know anything. لا تعلمون شيئا. You don't have to go to some jahala college to get a degree in jahala. You don't have to make any effort to be a jahil. Start off as a jahil. Then, so you don't know what is right, what is wrong, what's haqq or batil or anything. Then, so if you don't know what's right or wrong, how are you going to do what's right and how are you going to avoid what's wrong? Obviously, we're going to make mistakes. So what's the first step? First step is to learn. So you have to acquire ilm. So that's how we're climbing now to get to ikhlas. So after, when you start out jahala, we have to acquire the knowledge of what's halal and haram, what's farad and wajib and makruh, and how to worship Allah. So we have to learn the knowledge of our aqidah, what is the correct belief, knowledge of amal, our fiqh, knowledge of mu'ashara, knowledge of haqq of Allah, haqq of ibadullah, knowledge of akhlaq, knowledge of adab. Akhlaq and adab, what's the difference? Akhlaq is internal, adab is external. Akhlaq is a condition of the heart, and adab are the physical etiquettes. So if you truly respect someone in your heart and you honor them, that's the akhlaq of the heart. And the adab of the respect would be, you say salam first, you get up and help them. If you see an elder, you grab their bag from their hand, you take the shoe from the shoe rack and put it for them so they don't have to bend. That's the adab, right? So the external dimension is the adab, etiquettes. And the internal condition of the heart is the akhlaq. So these are terms that we use all the time, but it's important to know the distinction. A mu'min has akhlaq and adab, right? The fasiq has akhlaq but may have deficiency in adab, and the munafiq has all the adab but he has deficiency in the akhlaq. So munafiq, a hypocrite, really the best higher level hypocrite who's really good at his job, he's a mole, he's an agent for some agency, he will have all the adab. Externally he's going to act very, very pious. He's the most punctual in the prayer and everything. But he doesn't have akhlaq. Forget about sifat, he doesn't have iman. So he has external dimension, he's missing the internal dimension. That's a munafiq, hypocrite. And the fasiq is, or the sinner, the one who is the one who has good akhlaq in his heart. He's a well-meaning guy, but he never learned. Like the Arab of Surah Al-Hujurat. They wanted to learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they didn't know. They came and they knocked loudly on his door and said, Ya Muhammad, ukhrij ilayna, oh Muhammad, come out. And they didn't wait for Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come out, and Allah taught them in Surah Al-Hujurat. Anyway, so we are jahil and then we have to acquire ilm, right? So that's the second level. And then after we acquire ilm, then if you know everything, what's right and wrong, is that sufficient? What do you think? No, there's something beyond ilm. What's that? The lam and the mim, you turn it around, ilm becomes amal. So the ilm has to translate into amal. What's ma'loom must become ma'mul. What you know, you have to practice. What you learn in the letters, ma fi nuqush, has to become ma fi nufus, right? What are in the letters has to come into the nafs. What you read, what's the theory has to become practical. So that's the third stage, amal. We have to practice. Practice comes after knowledge, because without knowledge, the practice will be wrong, right? So it's a very logical sequence. So we learn ilm, then we make amal. Now after we make amal, then for that amal to be accepted in the court of Allah Ta'ala, we have to have what? Ikhlas. So the level of ikhlas comes after that. And then if the ikhlas is there, a person somehow, through the mercy of Allah, reached a level where he has ikhlas and sincerity in his action, is now the game over? No. Because the ikhlas can be snatched away, the niyyah can change at any time. Because we still have shaitan out there, we still have the nafs, we have evil environment, evil friends. So after a person has ikhlas, what's beyond that? It's istiqamah on that ikhlas. To remain steadfast and consistent with that good intention. Because after a person has ikhlas, it doesn't mean he will die with ikhlas. It's a very scary concept, because Allah Ta'ala teaches us the dua, Rabbana. This was in the Fajr Qunut as well. I think so. There were a lot of du'as, mashallah. But one of them was, Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana. O our Rabb, do not allow our hearts to become crooked. Zigh is crookedness. Ba'da idh hadaytana, after you have guided us. وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً, grant us mercy from your side. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ, you're the greatest giver. There are a lot of beautiful things in this dua, but the key point here, محل الاستشهاد, the point we're making, is the one important word. Which word? Ba'da. Ba'da. The word ba'da is very key here. The Rabbana, O our Lord, la tuzigh qulubana, do not allow our hearts to become accursed, to become crooked in nature. Ba'da idh hadaytana, after you have guided us. And the significant lesson from this dua is the fact that Allah has taught us to seek protection from misguidance after guidance is in itself an evidence of the possibility of misguidance after guidance. Otherwise, if that would be impossible, the entire exercise of seeking protection from an impossible thing of misguidance after guidance would not be taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the only reason He's teaching us to do seek protection from misguidance after guidance is because it is a distinct possibility. Right? That is a bit difficult to comprehend at first time you hear it. To make it easy, as our teacher used to say, that tamthil se tafhim mein tasil hoti hai, right? Which actually in simple words means tamthil se, by giving an example, tafhim mein, an understanding, tasil hoti, it's easy. So it makes it easier to understand if you give an example in simple words. So the example is like if there are two fathers, they're making dua. One makes the dua that, oh Allah, I send my son to the Caribbean to become a Dr. Saab, and he's alone there. It's just him and the beaches. So, oh Allah, I'm paying all the money for his college. He didn't, and I pray that he doesn't just party and drink and frolic on the beach with all kinds of. There's no Radai sisters out there, right? Anyway, with whoever. And he falls into sin and he fails, and all the money goes khasira dunya wal akhirah. So he's making dua. So we'll say this is a very smart father, he's concerned. And then there's another father who says that, oh Allah, I tucked my baby in the bed and I pray that he doesn't fly away to the moon. So you'll say maybe he's a loving father, but he's definitely a foolish father. He's seeking protection from that, which is not going to happen. If he makes dua for the safety of his child's iman, yes, he's a wise father. If he's making dua that for something that's not going to happen. So why is Allah Ta'ala going to teach us a foolish dua? No. He said, Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana, oh Allah, do not allow our hearts to become accursed after you have given us guidance. Means there is a possibility of misguidance after guidance. That's why He's telling you to seek protection from that. Does the example make it easier to understand what I was saying earlier? The fact that Allah is teaching us to seek protection from misguidance after guidance is in of itself a distinct dalil of the possibility of misguidance after guidance. This is the same statement I said earlier. It may make more sense after the crazy example. So, this is something to be aware of. Right? And everybody knows the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. That's on the beginning side. But there's also إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ on the ending side. So the foundation of the amal is on niyyah. You have the sincere niyyah. And the foundation of the amal which actually counts is the khatima, how you end. Husnul khatima, having a good ending is important. It's not just important, that's all that matters in fact. It's the most vital thing, the ending. Al-i'tibaru bil khawatim. Allah Ta'ala, what counts is the ending. Allah Ta'ala doesn't just say, man amila salihan. He does say that too. It is there, but it doesn't only say that. Many places beyond man amila salihan, He says, man ja'a bil hasanati. Whoever brings the good deed safe and sound over into the akhirah. Meaning, after doing the good deed, it's not confirmed until you bring it safe and sound. And you don't do any such action which will lead to habtul amal, cancelling out the good deed. Right? So that's why the ending is what matters. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there are so many people, inna bani adama khuliqu ala tabaqatin shatta. The human beings are created in different groups. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُولَدُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيَحْيَى مُؤْمِنًا وَيَمُوتُ مُؤْمِنًا. Some are born as a believer, they live as a believer, they die as a believer. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُولَدُ كَافِرًا وَيَحْيَى كَافِرًا وَيَمُوتُ كَافِرًا. You can translate it now, right? The one who born as a kafir, lives as a kafir, and dies as a kafir. Then you have وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُولَدُ كَافِرًا and يَحْيَى كَافِرًا وَيَمُوتُ مُؤْمِنًا. The one who is born as a kafir, lives as a kafir, but he dies as a mu'min. He dies as a shaheed, as a sahabi, without praying a single prayer. In the middle of the battlefield of Khaybar, he's on the Yahudi side, and then he switches over onto the Muslim side. And then, not too many moments later, he's a shaheed. After taking shahada, he becomes shaheed. Different types, both come from sheen, ha, one is shahada, one is, he took the shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, then he became a shaheed fi sabilillah. So he entered Jannah without praying a single prayer. So you have, he's born as a kafir, lives as a kafir, dies as a mu'min, and then you have the worst tragedy. Which one is that? وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُولَدُ مُؤْمِنًا. He is born as a mu'min. وَيَحْيَى مُؤْمِنًا. Lives as a mu'min. وَيَمُوتُ كَافِرًا. Dies as a kafir. Allah hafazna. There's in fact, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it so real, is that the change can happen instantly. He said, there will be people, يُصْبِحُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُمْسِي كَافِرًا. In the morning, he's a mu'min. And then by nightfall, he's a kafir. وَيُمْسِي مُؤْمِنًا وَيُصْبِحُ كَافِرًا. When the sun set, he was a mu'min. When the sun rose, he's a kafir. So what counts is the ending. So that's why istiqamah is important. So this whole statement of people being jahala, then is ilm, after ilm is amal, after amal is what? Ikhlas, and after ikhlas is istiqamah. This whole pyramid structure, it has been summarized in a beautiful statement that annasu kulluhum halikun. Starts out like a very morbid statement, but it is a reality, statement of reality, that annas, all mankind, kulluhum halikun, all are in utter destruction. Similar to the whole wal asri innal insana lafi khusr. So then illa, except for those people who are the alimin, those who have ilm. They're the only ones who are saved. So you think, wow, I have to become an alim, have ilm, then I'm safe. Then he goes on, no. Don't jump ahead of yourself. Then is the second statement, وَالْعَالِمُونَ كُلُّهُمْ هَالِكُونَ. All those who have knowledge, they're all also in utter destruction and loss. Illa, except for those, al-amilin, who actually practice. Okay, subhanAllah, I have to have ilm and amal. Then he goes, وَالْعَامِلُونَ, those who are practicing, كُلُّهُمْ هَالِكُونَ. They're all headed towards destruction. Illa al-mukhlisin, except for those who have sincerity. Okay, I have to have sincerity. That's it, then I'm good. So basically I have to acquire knowledge of deen. Based on the knowledge I acquire, I have to practice, make amal. And that practice, I develop ikhlas and sincerity. Then I'm good to go. You cannot sit back on autopilot still. Like the pilot over the landing goes to sleep, and then the co-pilot goes to the bathroom, and then, something happens, the whole plane goes down, right? No, you cannot relax. Because then the final statement is, you're going to think, is this whole kullum halikun, when is this ending? It's like a recurring nightmare. So it's annas kullum halikun, then amilun, those who are alimun, they're also halikun. Amilun are halikun. Then mukhlisun. He doesn't say mukhlisun kullum halikun, alhamdulillah. He doesn't say that. What does he say? The ulama say, the mashayikh said, وَالْمُخْلِصُونَ عَلَى خَطَرٍ عَظِيمٍ. And those who have ikhlas, they're in a very, very dangerous position. They have to be ever watchful. Watchful about what? The niyyah should not change. So being watchful over the niyyah to ensure it doesn't change, what is that? And continually being watching, continually doing muraqabah of that, contemplating, meditating over one's intention and correcting and saying astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh for any deficiency. That continual state has to be there till the end. That is called istiqamah. That's why they say al-istiqamah fawqa al-fakarama. It is more difficult than achieving 1,000 karamat. So the thing, this is when I'm talking about the high level things, it's so, I feel hypocritical, like this is something like I've mastered. Absolutely not. I'm just sharing the theory that I heard from the Akabir. The haqiqat of it, as I say, like we're so far away from it. There's one problem I don't have. I have a lot of problems. It's not like I believe I have all these things. I'm sharing with you. It's just, this is the theory. The niyat is what? May Allah give me and you and all of us the reality of this. It's quite embarrassing to talk about such things when you don't have it, but we have to remind ourselves that we talk about these things with the intention that the reality comes into our own heart. We are making da'wah, inviting towards it, not da'wah. We're not claiming that we have it. As we talked about this earlier. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun, in the tafsir of that. Do not claim that you have reached such pinnacles of success and glory and achievements when you have not done so regarding the past. Or do not make boastful claims regarding the future. I'll do this, I'll do that, when you have no intention to do so. That's what the ayat is saying. It's not saying don't invite towards things you don't have. Rather, we should. Hakim al-Shaftani rahmatullahi says that I would look into myself, that what is the problem with my nafs? Whatever disease I have, then I would invite towards abandoning that, the harms of that, with the intention that the reality of that enters my own soul. So this is the pinnacle of ikhlas. The pinnacle is istiqamah. May Allah Ta'ala grant us istiqamah. So we appreciate how important istiqamah is, how important ikhlas is, that we do every action with the intention only to please Allah and no one else. If they praise us or they attack us, it doesn't make a difference. And shaitan works in very, very strange ways. We don't even realize. I think I shared the story of the student with the snowstorm. You remember? No, I did not. Okay. One day, one father, he came with his son, and he said that what my son is telling me, I know it doesn't make sense, but I don't know how to explain it to him. I said, what happened? So this kid has, mashallah, one of our students, but sometime in the past 15 years, and I won't define obviously which time. Nobody has to try to figure out who it is. Because alhamdulillah, so many students have beautiful voice. So he had a very beautiful voice. And as the father would enjoy the fact that his son is leading the prayer. Whenever he would go to whatever local masjid he was in, they would push him forward. Right, now you remember? Okay, so they would push him forward and say that you should lead the salah. But what happened is, he would always try to hide, not try to go and act shy, quote unquote, acting sincere, humble, whatever. He wouldn't want to go and lead. So one day it was a very, very bad snowstorm, and the plows had not come out and cleaned the driveways and the streets yet. So people had to, whoever's going to come for Fajr was going to have to shovel the snow and clean their windshield if they don't have a garage, to come to the masjid. So they ended up coming on time. There were very few people there. Most of the people were going to, whoever was going to show up, mashallah, despite the weather conditions, was going to be late. So he couldn't hide because there were so few people, and then the people in the masjid pushed him forward to lead the salah. Mashallah, his beautiful voice. But what happened is, he led an extremely short prayer. Qul Allahu ahad, qul a'udhu birabbil falaq, or something. And he completed. He completed the entire salah before majority of the people came. So most of the people who came a bit later than normal, they all missed the whole jama'ah. So they're like, oh, jama'at's over. So then what happened is, the father was very upset. Like, this does not make sense. It's not right what you did. You should have been considerate for the people, and you should have made it even a bit longer than normal, instead of making it so short. So he asked his son, like, why did you do this? He said, because, I don't want to show off my voice. And I don't want the praises of people, oh, your voice is so good. And I don't want people to think that, I'm just going on and on because my voice is so good and I'm so full of myself. So I don't want to be showing off my voice. That's why I did it so quickly. So then the dad was like, wait a second. I mean, he's playing the whole ikhlas card on me. How do I respond to that? But I know it doesn't make sense. Now, what the father is thinking, why he's so obsessed about his son leading and the pleasure and happiness he gets from that, that's another issue. We're not going to go there right now. But this is what the son was thinking. So if you go back, I said I don't have any reality of this, either this one or that one. But we studied it, and the mashayikh, they explain that doing an amal to show people is riya, and tarkul amal, tarkul sunnah for showing off people is also riya. What that means is, I asked him, okay, this is actually wrong, but how do you objectively explain it's wrong? I said, okay, you brought your son here, and I talked to him. I said, so let's review that. What did you say? If you read long, according to the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for Fajr it's supposed to be long. The tiwal al-mufassal, the long surahs in Fajr, and the shorter surahs for Maghrib, and the medium surahs for Isha, right? So there's a mufassal, the surahs are divided into tiwal al-mufassal, awsat mufassal, and qisar mufassal. So anyway, the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is recite long. Like yesterday in Fajr, so Alif Lam Mim Sajda and Surah Dahr is a sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would recite these surahs in the Fajr of Fridays. So why did you not fulfill this sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to recite longer in Fajr? Because people are going to think I'm showing off. Oh, let's continue with this concept. So you don't want people to think you're showing off. Yeah. So if you don't want them to think you're showing off, what do you want them to think? You want them to think you're sincere. You want them to think you're a humble person. You're not a show-off, you're a humble person. So you left the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because you are very much concerned that the people should not think you are showing off. The people should think, wow, this person is so humble. So at the end of the day, you abandon the sunnah because you are worried about what people are going to say. The true mukhlis is the one who does the sunnah and he cares less. If people consider me sincere, they consider me as a show-off, whatever they say, it does not make a difference, because I have to do what is right and I have to do it for the right reason. What's the right thing? Following sunnah. What's the right reason? To please Allah. This is an ajib attack of shaitan. Like sometimes people say, oh, you know what, I want to keep a beard and stuff, but people are going to say that, oh, you become so righteous. You know, you're trying to act pious? Come on, don't be so pious on me, bro. I think that's what the topic of last night was, right? So I don't want to go back there. But why are you acting so pious when you aren't? Why are you being so hypocritical? You're trying to be so more pious than you are. So we are abandoning the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because we are afraid of what people are going to say. Many women, mashallah, they come, they want to start wearing the hijab, but then they say, no, our friends are going to say that, oh my God, you're getting so righteous on me. You're not really that person. Why are you being somebody you aren't? Be yourself. So even though their heart desires to wear the hijab, so the one who is wearing hijab to act like they're pious and to impress other people, that's a riya. And the one who is not wearing the hijab because of fear of other people, that's also riya. Doing an amal for other people's sake is riya, and tark of amal for the other people's sake is also riya. Everybody knows the former, nobody really talks about the latter, the second one. And oh my God, if riya, everything is riya, where's ikhlas? Ikhlas basically is the only one option, is when you do the right thing for the right reason. And what other people say, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't even, you don't even consider it at all. That's the right way. May Allah Ta'ala give it to us, right? So this was number 12. Your desire that people know about your particular distinction, Allahu Akbar, is a proof of the insincerity in your servanthood. Just the desire. Typically we were doing multiple ones, right? So we can just do one or two more and then we'll call it, we normally call it a night, call it a day. All right. So, إِذَا أَطْلَقَ الثَّنَاءَ عَلَيْكَ, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows the praise for you to burst forth, the people are praising you left and right. Wow, you're so generous. Wow, you're so intelligent. Wow, you're so smart. Atlaqa means that to release the cover, the bind. So Allah Ta'ala removed that from their mouths so that their mouths are praising you. If Allah Ta'ala allows the praise of you to burst forth, everyone is praising you. وَلَسْتَ بِأَهْلٍ, and you know in your heart of your hearts that you do not deserve it. Right? You're not worthy of it. What should you do? Again, remember how he plays with the words? Those who have been watching from the beginning, how he turns things upside down. So he says, look, they're praying you for that, they're praising you for that which you do not deserve. Where is this leading us? فَأَثْنِي عَلَيْهِ بِمَا هُوَ أَهْلُهُ. So in return, you praise Him, Allah, for what He is worthy of. Right? So when people are praising you, إِذَا أَطْلَقَ ثَنَاءَ عَلَيْكَ وَلَسْتَ بِأَهْلٍ, people are praising you for that which you're not worthy of. فَأَثْنِي عَلَيْهِ بِمَا هُوَ أَهْلُهُ. Then praise Allah for that which He's worthy of. Meaning, attribute the blessing back to Allah Ta'ala. If somebody says, wow, you're so smart, mashallah, you got such a good grades in your MCAT, you got into a direct medical program, oh mashallah, you got a promotion at work, oh mashallah, your children are so righteous, oh mashallah, you have such a beautiful home, or you have such a beautiful accomplishments, you have so much deen, oh mashallah, you have deen or dunya ne Allah ne aapko nawaza, kaisa nawaza. Alright, all these things, people are praising you, and you know the hal, right? We talked about this yesterday. Ajhalun nasi man taraka yaqina ma indahu lidhanni ma inda nas. The greatest ignoramus is the one who falls into listening to and believing conjecture and the zan people have about him, and he abandons the yaqeen that he has about his own self. He has yaqeen that how much of a criminal he is, and he knows for a fact. But he forgets about that, and he falls into the trap of believing the husn dhan others have. They're just moving husn dhan, you have yaqeen. Why are you leaving your yaqeen and falling, believing their husn dhan? So that's jahala. So anyway, people are praising you because they have husn dhan. How should you respond? Praise Allah Ta'ala. Because when you praise Allah, you are not going to have the problem of, hey, is He worthy of it or not? Because He's truly worthy of all praise. Alhamdulillah, all praise. So if somebody says that it's a beautiful day, they're praising the day. So who created the day? Allah. And they say a beautiful building, then human beings constructed the building, but who gave the intelligence to the architect, and the intelligence and the mind to the structural engineer and the calligrapher and those who made these things? Allah. So directly or indirectly, all praises are for Allah. So فَأَثْنِي عَلَيْهِ, praise Him for that which He is worthy of. And the essence of shukr, of a blessing, is basically the nisbat of the blessing to Allah. That's the essence of shukr. Nisbat means attribution. The whole hada min fadli rabbi concept. When Sulaiman alayhi salam saw the throne of his enemy, or not necessarily enemy yet, but contemporary queen, not Bilqis of Saba, when he saw it in a second, so when they had a military intelligence unit, they would go and spy on the strength of the enemy. Which one was that? The hudhud bird, espionage. Right. So the hudhud bird, when he took a roll call of his troops, the bird was missing. Did not report to duty when they were called. What did he say? Mali ala ara al-hudhud. Why don't I see the hudhud bird? Why aren't you here? Why isn't, well, she can't say you because second person. The bird was not there. Why is he here? Mali ala am kana min al-ghaibin, is absent. He was in big trouble. You know what he said? لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. This is not Allah. This is Allah narrating his statement. لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. I will give him a severe torment. أو لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ, or I'll slaughter him. Zabah, 100% zabiha. Alright, not 99%. You don't want to eat 90% zabiha. You have to make sure it's 100%, whatever that means. Like, what in the world does that mean? It's either zabiha or not. It's like 100% halal wife, 90% halal. What does that mean? Astaghfirullah. It's either halal or haram. So what is this whole 100%? Okay, anyway. So, أَوْ لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ, I will slaughter it. I will slaughter this bird. أَوْ لَيَأْتِيَنِّي بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ, or he brings clear evidence. Why he's late. So he was in very, very big trouble. And if you come late here, you don't get in that much trouble with him, right? No, he never slaughtered anybody. I hope not. He better not do that, right? You have bigger problems if that happens. Anyway, Sulaiman alayhi salam said, I will slaughter him. فَمَكَثَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ. A little time passed, and then the bird came. What did the bird say? أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ. I have the knowledge that you do not have. وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. I come from the kingdom of Saba with some breaking news, because he was the espionage, military intelligence unit, would go and spy. So the scholars say that this is the power of knowledge. That by default it creates jur'ah, and it creates ulu and himma and courage, and which can become borderline what? Lead to, in fact, arrogance. This bird was in such a big trouble. That's why I was emphasizing how much trouble he was in, to emphasize the following point. That when he comes, instead of starting off by saying, I'm so sorry, please do not kill me, I know I'm in big trouble, I was late, I'm tardy and excused. right? Instead of starting off with all that, he says, I know something you don't know. So that's why it literally comes with ilm. What comes with ilm? Kibr. Unless you actively make an effort to remove it. Because I know what you don't know, therefore I'm better than you. This naturally comes. So it's unfortunate. It's something good. Ilm is great, good thing. But there is a side effect, right? Like if you're having some extreme pain, doctor says, okay, take so many milligrams of like full dose of Imodium, take this, whatever, Prilosec with it, Zantac with it, something, because it's going to be hard on your stomach, right? So you're giving you a medication to relieve your pain, but give you something with it because of the undesirable, painful side effect. So likewise, ilm is great, but along with ilm, kibr will come by default. That's why it's ilm dhikr, ilm and tazkiyah go hand in hand. It's required. We have Iblis, Adallahu Allah ala ilm. He had so much knowledge, and what happened? He became arrogant and he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the bird. Anyway, it's a very beautiful story. Go back to Surah Namal. If I go through the whole story, it'll take so much time, but it's a fascinating story. One scene of that story is that there's a lot of nice scenes there. The bird goes, Bilqis, what she says, and so many lessons there. But one scene in that story is Sulaiman alayhi salam says, "Man ya'tini bi'arshiha," who is going to bring to me the unrivaled, unparalleled throne of Bilqis? Bring it here. From Yemen to Quds. From south of the Arabian Peninsula, where the kingdom of Bilqis was, all the way to where Bilad al-Sham, Quds, where the kingdom of Sulaiman alayhi salam was. Who's going to bring it? قَبْلَ أَن يَأْتُونِي مُسْلِمِينَ, before she comes herself in submission. So there was one jinn who presented his resume for the job. قَالَ عِفْرِيتٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. Ifrit, a major, big jinn. He wasn't a small jinn, he was a ifrit. Because different categories of jinns, you can cover that in the black magic, jadoo, jinn session, right? You guys did that already. With Mufti Azimuddin, right? You were there? So you know everything about shayateen? Okay. Anyway, so this ifritum min al-jinn, this big jinn came and he said, he presented his resume. You know his resume? I'm qualified. What's my qualification? He said, look, number one, ana atika bihi qabla an taquma min maqamik. I'll go fly there and carry and bring the throne before the end of this session. Qabla an taquma min maqamik. When this majlis, before the majlis ends, I'll bring it. And he presented his qualifications for the job. What is your qualifications? وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ لَقَوِيٌّ and أَمِينٌ. Number one, I'm qawi, strong enough to carry it, so I won't drop it. When I'm bringing it, I won't drop it anywhere because I'm qawi. And number two, ameen, I'm trustworthy. I won't steal a couple of jewels that are encrusted, and pocket it on the side. And so that you won't know the difference. You never saw it. Remember, the bird said, "Ahattu bima lam tuhit bi." I know something you don't know. I went and found this new kingdom. You aren't aware of it. They are worship. And what's the most important thing? It's not that they have treasures we can, plunder. It's that they don't know who Allah is. Inni wajadtu imra'atan tamlikum. There's a queen they have. Utiyat min kulli shay. She has all the splendors of the world. Walaha arshun azim. The most important thing she has is that throne. And he says, "What wajadtuha wa qawma yasjuduna lish-shamsi min dunillah." Oh, we need to go because they're worshipping the sun. They don't know about Allah, so we have to invite them towards Allah. That's what the bird was worried about. So he says, anyway, qawiyyun ameen. I'm strong and I am trustworthy. So okay, that's one candidate for the position. Anyone else? So the other one, قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب, the one who had the knowledge of the book. What's his name is not given. Some say it was Asif bin Barkhiyat, one wali of Allah. He presented another proposal which is even way better. What did he say? He said, "Ana atika bihi," I'll bring the throne, قبل أن يرتد إليك طرفك, in a blink of an eye. So Sulaiman alayhi salam could have said, "Okay, this is a better deal. I'll give you the job." Then he said, "Okay, close your eye. Okay, now open your eye. Now it's here." Right? That never happened. Because By the time he said, قَبْلَ أَن يَرْتَدَّ إِلَيْكَ طَرْفُكَ, but when he just presented it and he said that I can bring it in a blink of an eye, the time it takes to say I'll bring it in a blink of an eye is more than an actual blink of an eye. So he said, I'll bring it in a blink of an eye, فَلَمَّا رَآهُ مُسْتَقِرًا, and there all of a sudden it was already there. He never even officially got the contract. So he just said, I can bring it in a blink of an eye. Because you have, Sulaiman as-Salam actually asked. He asked the question. I'm not like over dramatizing. It's literally there in the words. This is the feeling you get from when you learn the Arabic. This is how it speaks to you, the Quran. Because Sulaiman as-Salam put out it was a bid. Like, who's going to bid for it? He said, مَنْ يَأْتِينِي بِعَرْشِهَا. He asked the question. So this is not some extra dramatization. He said, مَنْ يَأْتِينِي بِعَرْشِهَا. Who's going to bring the throne? He asked the question, right? So then you have, it's right there. What did the first one say? قَالَ إِفْرِيتٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. Big jinn said, okay, this is my proposal. I can bring it by the end of the thing. This is the best job I can do. And then he said, his resume, قَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ, his own qualifications. And then the قَالَ الَّذِي عِنْدَهُ عِلْمٌ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ, the one who had the knowledge of the book, he said, أَنْ آتِيكَ بِهِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَرْتَدَّ إِلَيْكَ طَرْفُكَ. I can bring in a blink of an eye. And then doesn't say that he got the job. And he just says, فَلَمَّا رَآهُ مُسْتَقِرًا عِنْدَهُ. Then he just saw that the throne was magically there. So what did we learn? This second one was faster than the former? No, it wasn't. The first one was physically moving that fast. The jinn was literally traveling. Like, he was that fast, he would travel at that speed, pick it up and physically carry it. That's why he talks about qawiyyun amin. This one was not a physically he wasn't so fast. This is what? Metaphysical. This was karamat involved. So he wasn't supersonic fast. Like sonic, boom, you can hear him breaking the sound barrier, right? He wasn't so fast. He was actually karama of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it was a divine intervention. And that's because he had the knowledge of the book, meaning he had the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala was helping him. This is a karama. فَلَمَّا رَاهُ مُسْتَقِرًا عِنْدَهُ. When he saw the throne right there, now this is the opportunity for anyone else. You would be, the power that you have, that a member of your court can go and bring the throne in a second. It should fill you with power and greatness. Like, am I not the man? Right? I am the greatest king ever. You should have felt the greatness. So at this particular moment, what does he say? هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. فَلَمَّا رَآهُ. When he saw the throne right there, he said, هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. This is the fadl of my Lord. Right? So that's why in the Muslim lands, in big homes, big mansions, beautiful palaces and balconies, big stores, right? They have in calligraphy, it says what? هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. This is from the fadl of my Lord. But whenever I'd go as a child, I would look at it in every different place I see it. But there's one thing that really, really troubles me. And that is that everywhere it says هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. That's why I'm into calligraphy, and there's a story behind all the calligraphy in the masjid, what each thing represents and everything, and why it was placed, and when we selected it, when we were building the masjid. The biggest thing that always bothers me is that it's the truth, but it's not the complete truth. There's the most important part. No single calligrapher ever completes the ayah. They just stop هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. There's a lam after that. Li. This is the fadl of my Lord. To what? The purpose. Illah. لِيَبْلُوَانِي. To test me. أَأَشْكُرُ أَمْ أَكْفُرُ. Will I be grateful for the blessing or I'll be ungrateful for the blessing? I have never in my life, east to west, seen in any calligraphy the whole ayah. They always stop. هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. That's it. So let's enjoy. No, the purpose is لِيَبْلُوَانِي. To test me. أَشْكُرُ أَمْ أَكْفُرُ. Will I be thankful or I'll be unthankful? Now he gives the conclusion. It still goes on. What is after that? وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. If I will be thankful, then it's for my own benefit. I'm not going to increase Allah's might. وَمَنْ كَفَرَ. If I'm ungrateful, then it will not hurt Allah, because Allah Ta'ala is ghaniyun. He is worthy, He is beyond rich. He is independent of His creation. He is Kareem. He is Hamid. He is worthy of all praise. He's not going to be harmed. This is where you have the ayah ending. This ayah ending was taught to us by Rasulullah. So this is the essence of shukr, is to nisbat, attribute the blessing back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the morning du'as that Hussein Abid, hafidhahullah wa ra'ahu, recited so beautifully, is the dua that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us. If you recite it, then you would have fulfilled the haqq of shukr for the day. What is happening in that entire dua? It's all about nisbat. Allahumma ma asbaha bi min ni'matin. Oh Allah, whatever blessing I enjoyed today. Oh bi ahadin min khalqik, or any one of your creation enjoyed today. Faminka, it is from you. Could have been full stop, period. As period in American English, full stop in British English. Faminka, it's from you. But then there's ta'keed, emphasis. Wahdaka, you alone. Okay, I got it. No, it's not enough. La sharika lak, and you have no partner. Falaka alhamdu, so therefore all praise belongs to you. Walaka shukru, and all thanks belongs to you. So if you attribute the blessing back to Allah, that is the way that we truly make shukr. So no matter how much greatness you reach, you can remain the humblest. Like Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the greatest human being, it was the humblest human being. We talked about this in a more philosophical manner a few days ago. But one thing is that his greatness did not make him arrogant, because 100% he attributed that back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And sometimes people say that, you know what, if I'm supposed to consider myself not better than others, how do I resolve this? Doesn't make sense, because in quantifiable terms I'm more blessed than they are. So am I supposed to reject the reality that I'm better? No, you make nisbat of that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because it came from Allah, that also means that Allah ta'ala could take it from you and give it to Him anytime. And you don't know what the ending is. So therefore you leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows best. Like for example, you are praying tahajjud and you are praying fajr and in jama'ah, and you're in itikaf, and somebody else is wasting their time in, not wasting time, actively involved in sin. So you're not supposed to consider yourself more pious than them? No. Then you'll say, well, make up your mind. If what I'm doing is a good deed or a bad deed? It's a good deed. What he's doing is a sin or not? In fact, it's a sin. I'm doing a good deed, he's doing a sin. I'm in itikaf, he's in a casino. But I'm still not better than him. You can't have it both ways, man. So how do you respond to that? You'll say, in the present, yes, your action is pleasing to Allah, and his action apparently is pleasing to Allah. His action is apparently displeasing to Allah. But the tawfiq you had is from Allah. You never know who's going to die in which condition first, and who's going to die in which condition. And what counts is the ending. Right? So therefore, currently in the moment you are on the right path, it seems like, and he's potentially on the wrong path. But there are many people who are on the mimbar and mihrab, the zina and the adorning it, and then they ended up dying in the dens of vice. And many from the dens of vice, Allah Ta'ala gave them hidayah, and they came and became murshid and guide people toward the right path. Hadi. So you don't know how you're going to die. Right? In the saviors of the Islamic spirit, the Rijal al-Fikri wa Da'wah, Shaykh Abul Hasan al-Nadwi rahmatullah alayhi, he mentioned the story of Jamaluddin, Shaykh Jamaluddin. Right? I think I'll conclude with the story, because then it will become too long. But this is so profound, subhanallah. When the Mongols, they came, right? They were destroying the Muslim lands. They were killing the people. They were plundering the cities. They're erecting towers. Towers of skulls. Towers of skulls. Burning the cities down. Burning the libraries. Throwing the books into the water. The Dajjal became black with the ink. Then it became red with the blood. Right? In Baghdad, Masjid DarusSalaam, we have in the library, Tarikh Masjid DarusSalaam, the history of the city of peace. Peace, which Masjid DarusSalaam is this? Baghdad. It was called the Masjid DarusSalaam. So there were many conquerors that have come. They were worse than the Crusaders. I mean, the Crusaders were so bad, but worse than the Crusaders were the Mongols. Completely, ajib, heartless, no purpose. Call everyone out of the city and say that, show us your hidden treasure, show us all your wealth, give us everything, and then we'll think about what we can do with you. After they give everything, in a line, young men, women, children, old, everyone slaughtered, for no purpose. Like they didn't even care for the dunya. Like if you keep them, tax them, enslave them, make them work, give money, taxation to the central government, loot them. No, just killing for the sake of killing. It is mentioned that if one Mongol would come and there would be 10 able-bodied Muslim men, and he would say, all of you wait here. Nobody move, because I don't have my sword with me. I'm going to go get my sword, and then you all lay down, I'm going to slaughter all of you. Nobody would move. That's how terrified they were. Then he would come calmly, one by one, kill them all. Right? This is a horrific disaster on the Ummah. Right? Keep that. I mean, I can explain more, but I think it's sufficient to understand how terrible the time was. Mongols from the east and Crusaders from the west, right? On the Muslim lands. So then what happened? In this context, the prince, literally the son of the Mongol emperor, he was hunting in the jungle. And when he was hunting out in the jungle, he came upon this random Sufi, Zahid, Abid guy, Muslim. And he had with him his hunting dogs. So this Shaykh Jamaluddin was roaming in the jungle, and he ended up going into the royal hunting area. You're not supposed to enter there. Inna likulli malakin himan. Every king has a hima, an area that's restricted. Violators will be prosecuted. This is the special zone where the king hunts. So he was caught there. By virtue of being there, he was already a criminal. So they captured him, brought him in front of the king. And they said that this person was found in the royal hunting ground. What should we do with him? So the prince, he was not the king, he was a prince. The prince was just he was in a hunting mood, he was in a happy mood. He thought, let's have some fun, entertainment. So he asked that sheikh a very, very simple question. From his perspective, it was a no-brainer. So since his hunting dog was there, would go and sniff the prey, he asked him that, you think you're deserving of being here? Are you more worthy or my dog, my hunting dog? So it's a very simple question. He's supposed to say, who am I? What is my value? This is the royal hunting dog. It's far higher in rank than me. I'm not worth the dirt in its nose or something. He's supposed to say something like that. Or if he's completely stupid, he's going to say, I'm a human being, that's a dog, I'm better, and then die. Right? Probably he's going to die either way, anyway. So this is right. This is what the potential answer would be. But the Shaykh Jamaluddin, what he did is he said something really strange. He said, actually, it depends. So then the king said, wait a second. What did you say? He said, if you really want me to answer your questions truthfully, I can't comment on that right now. I can't answer it 100% right now. He said, what in the world are you talking about? Why is this a difficult question? So he said, the thing of the matter is that, you know what? If I die with Iman, I'm better than your dog. However, if I die without Iman, your dog is better than me. So the king said, what? What is this Iman? He said, you know what? Since you didn't ask me, but I'll tell you something else additional to that. If you die with Iman, you are better than your dog. And if you die without Iman, your dog is better than you too. Oh my God. Now the king was like, really? But the thing with these kings is that the general theme about all these stories of the kings is that they're what? They're very bored, right? Because they have everything, the prince, he's just so bored with life. He's hunting and he's still not exciting. He's just sitting around in his palace. Most of these kings were very, very, very bored lives, right? So they're always looking for something intriguing, something to catch their fancy and attention, some type of entertainment, right? There's no YouTube, there's no any of this stuff, Netflix and all of that stuff, right? That's what people want, TikTok generation, right? There's no TikTok. So that's why this person actually caught his attention, like big time. So he said, wait a second, you're saying if I have Iman, I'm better than my dog. And if I heard you correctly, you said if I don't have Iman, did you really say that? My dog is better than me? Oh my God. What in the world is this Iman? What is this thing? What is it? You really got me intrigued in this. I want to know what is Iman. So he said, yeah, you know what Iman is? Iman is an tu'mina billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi. Give him a whole full da'wah of Iman. We'll kind of fast forward through that part. So then he said, oh, I really want to be better than my dog, right? I want this Iman. I want this Iman. And ashhadu wa la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasul. So he accepted Islam. But then he said, there's a small problem. The problem is I'm not the king, I'm the prince. Being the son doesn't make a difference in these royal families. They're bored, that's one part of their life. The other thing is, they have absolutely no hesitation to kill their brothers, kill everyone. Because what's the most important thing is the kingdom. So many kings and princes have killed their own blood brothers. It's like, I know it's horrific thing to say, and say it lightly, but it's like happened so many times. Any student of history is not going to be surprised by that. So he said, if I go home, my dad, I'm sure he had lots of kids, right? Like a lot of them. So he will kill me. Like, how dare you become Muslim? We are destroying the Muslims. And you ended to become Muslim? Not I. You'll just kill me. So that's why I cannot express my Islam. I'll keep it hidden until my dad dies. And when he dies, when I will become the king, then I'll have the power and I will declare my Islam. Just wait. When I become the king, then you come meet me. And let's just make dua Allah afiyat se utha le. Okay. Anyway, so then he said, okay. And he went back to the capital. Time passed. And then finally the father died and he became the king. So Shaykh Jamaluddin, he remembered, and he finally came to the palace. When he comes to the palace, he knocks on the door and he said, of the gate, and the guards come, and he says, I want to seek the audience with the king. They say, are you crazy? How dare you come, you beggar? Get lost. So they beat him and throw him out. He keeps on coming. They say, get lost. Then night falls. And he thinks, how am I going to get inside? This is a very true story. That's why I give the reference from the Shaykh Abu al-Hasan Nadwi rahmatullahi mentioned in his Rijal al-Fikri wa Da'wah, when he talks about the Mujaddideen of every era. So he says, I have to get inside the palace. This particular part is like a scene of a movie or something, but it's real. He says, oh, what should I do? He said, there's a royal palace, and behind that is a royal garden. So he jumps over the wall of the garden, gets into the backyard. When he's there, what does he do? He starts in the dead of the night loudly calling out the adhan. Really loud. Ashhadu Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So the shayateen runs away and the guards come, right? So the guards come, the human guards, they come and they grab him and they say, what in the world are you doing? You're creating a disturbance in the royal court. And you know what? You're the same guy who came in the day, we threw you out, and now you're coming calling azan in the night. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take you in front of the king himself. Right? So that's what we're going to do. And then in his heart, ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبْغِي. That's exactly what I wanted. So then they said, you're going to lock you up tonight, we're going to present you to the king. Why? Because they don't have the authority to chop off his head. They can't kill him. But they want this guy to be killed because there's no instance, right? So how are they going to get him killed? Take him to the king, and the king will give the order, off with his head. They can enjoy hanging him. So that's why they said, we'll take you to the king. Otherwise, they could have beaten him up. But they don't want to beat him up. They can even lock him up, but they don't want to lock him up. They want to kill this guy. So they said, we're going to actually take you to the king, and then we'll see what happens. I.e., you will die. So they took him, they locked him for the rest of the night. The next morning, they brought him to the palace. He was already in the palace. They brought him to the court. When he came in front of the king, he went and he told the king, he looked and said, I am Jamaluddin. Remember we met in the jungle some years ago, and this is what happened. He said, oh, yes. Removed the shackles and the handcuffs and told him, come sit next to me on the throne. And then he said, invite all the members of the court towards Islam. Subhanallah. So he spoke with such eloquence, with such wisdom from his heart. Dil se jo baat nikalti hai, athar rakhti hai, par nahi taqat parwaz makar rakhti hai. Which means that he spoke from his heart in such an effective manner that it penetrated the heart of the entire audience. And they were ready to accept Islam. And the final straw that broke the back of the camel, final nail in the coffin, final thing was that the king, who had already accepted Islam, but now he made it zahir, he made i'lan. He said, you know what, after hearing the da'wah, acted like it's a spontaneous thing. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I accept Islam. So then all the members of the court, they got the courage. All the nobles, everyone, what did they do? Accepted Islam. So that's what Allama Iqbal talks about. Those who were destroying the Kaaba in the deen, they became the Pasbane Haram. They became the defenders of the faith. Not only the members of the court, then their families, then the entire Mongol Qawm who had destroyed Islam generation ago, they all became what? Muslims and defenders of the faith. The whole, there are certain specific small incidents that have such a powerful ripple effect that literally changed the course of history. And it was that one morning when he went out hunting. And when he met Jamaluddin, in that one conversation had such a profound impact on the entire history of the world. And the bottom line is, what counts is the ending, right? So we can never, never, never be proud about what we are doing. We don't know what the ending is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all a khatma bil iman, khatma bil khair, wa akhir da'wana, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. So we can definitely all perform the Ishraq Salah. Make sure we do that, since we ended up staying awake. Staying awake is the hard part. Ishraq is the easy part. 6:26 was sunrise. So if you perform 2 rakat salah and followed by 2 rakat, you'll get the reward of nafal, hajj, accepted hajj and umrah, and Allah will make all our tasks of the day easy. Salatul duha. Whoever performs fajr and stays in ibadah till the sun rises, and then he performs the duha will get this, or ishraq will get this great reward. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.